Hi, you are in the ladies' room with Dr. Donica, the only public ladies' room you can enter anytime without ever waiting online. I'm your host, Dr. Donica Moore. We'll be having real conversations with real women about really intimate issues. They may be embarrassing, sad, or funny, but they will always be interesting and informative. You know, like the best conversations you've had in ladies' rooms with your best friends, or total strangers and a physician. Please join us. Hello, and welcome to the ladies' room. We have a double header for you today. We're going to be talking about liver health in women. Why? When's the last time you actually thought about your liver? Or LiveHer. The name LiveHer combines liver and her is the name of a new national photography campaign to raise awareness about primary biliary cholangitis. Now, like most things in medicine, it has a big, complicated name. So we have a nice, easy three-letter acronym, PBC. And we're going to talk all about PBC as well as liver disease in women in general. Now, PBC is a liver disease that primarily affects women. So the LiveHer campaign, which is sponsored by Intercept Pharmaceuticals, aims to educate as many people as possible about PBC, but especially women who are most at risk for autoimmune diseases. As always, knowledge is power, and an earlier diagnosis permits earlier and more effective treatment. And of course, the first thing is just knowing what this is. So we have two fabulous women here today to tell us all about it. A first step towards diagnosis is through routine blood liver tests, which are generally done as part of your thorough annual wellness visit with your primary care physician. Another reason to go. Our two wonderful guests today are going to shine a brighter light on PBC. They're also our first mother-daughter combination to join us in the ladies' room, but hopefully not the last. Our guests today are the fabulous lifestyle photographer and Instagram star, Emily Blincoe from Nashville, Tennessee, who shot the poignant images for the LiveHer PBC campaign. Her mother, Debbie Parsley, is also with us. She has PBC and was also featured in the campaign. The fact that Debbie has PBC also puts Emily in an increased risk for the condition, and we're going to talk to them about that as well. Debbie lives in Austin, Texas, and works for the state as a fingerprint supervisor. She was diagnosed with PBC after routine blood work and was planning for her retirement. In addition to being Emily's mom, she has two other adult children and two grandchildren. She enjoys gardening, exercise in general, and running marathons. You didn't see that coming. Before we hear from our guests, I was just going to give you a little more information about PBC. This is a progressive autoimmune disease that specifically affects the bile ducts in the liver. The good news is that PBC is a rare disease. It only affects about 1 in 1,000 women over 40. However, as I often say, the incidence is 100% if it happens to you. The bad news about PBC is that it's been the second leading overall cause of liver transplant in women in the United States since 1988. Now, as with most autoimmune diseases, the exact cause of PBC is unknown. It's believed that genetics is a predisposition and that environmental factors may also play a role. But of course, a lot more research needs to be done in this area. I do want to debunk a very disturbing myth about PBC. It is completely unrelated to alcoholism. This is a misconception that has created an unnecessary stigma for patients who suffer from this condition. The majority of patients with PBC do not experience any symptoms when they're diagnosed, making this yet another silent disease initially. Symptoms of PBC vary and may not present until the disease is advanced, including itching and fatigue. If left untreated, PBC can progress to hepatic fibrosis or liver scarring, cirrhosis, liver failure, and death, unless a patient receives a liver transplant. Medication, careful monitoring by a doctor, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle can slow the disease's progression. Early detection through routine liver blood screenings, including what we call an ALK-phos or an alkaline phosphatase or ALP test, is very important. So with that background, ladies, welcome to the ladies' room. Thank you for joining me. And I will inform our listeners that we have had a lot of technological difficulties to get through in order to get here. So I think I'm more happy to see the two of you in the ladies' room today than maybe any of my other guests. So is this your first time having an interview in a ladies' room, Emily?
In a ladies' room?
In any ladies' room.
I think so. Yeah.
And Debbie, what's your most unusual or memorable experience that you ever had in a public ladies' room?
I guess I could say just the most recently has to do with PBC. Actually, felt like all alone in this disease.
Oh.
Know anyone with it, and talking with the lady in the restroom at work. She was talking about some of her issues, and I'm like, really? I have da la la. And so as we were talking, we're like, there's no way. Are you talking about PBC?
Mhm.
And it was just amazing that we
You mean she had the same condition?
had the same
Oh
condition.
my gosh, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, so that was really my most recent strange conversation in the ladies' room.
The chances of that are actually 1 in 1,000 times 1 in 1,000. And if we did the math, what is that? 1 in 100,000 chances that I think. I know I'm going to get emails from people if I didn't do the math right. And Emily, what was your most weird or unusual or memorable experience in a ladies' room?
I'm kind of upset that I don't really have any.
Do you use public ladies' rooms?
I do. It's normally just me trying not to touch anything. So I guess I'm not focusing on having conversations with people.
Well, you need to be a little more friendly.
Okay.
So I think that was the idea. I think Debbie's example is perfect for why we did this podcast in the first place, is because women love to share their stories and we learn from each other, and especially about medical topics. How did you feel when this other woman told you, Debbie, that she also had PBC?
It was just such a wonderful feeling to have someone else to talk to about it. And we just started comparing notes, and it was really hard to stop talking about it with her. And now she has very many more complications with hers. And she looks at me and says, well, you don't seem like, you have as many issues. So we're just comparing notes and just talking, and just having someone to talk to like that was just wonderful. And I'm trying to get her to join in with the new group of people that I've met, because
That's great.
It adds so much having someone to talk to about it.
And was this somebody you were friends with to begin with, or you just kind of met in the ladies' room?
We have worked together many years, but just not in the same section. So it's just more of a acquaintance type of situation.
That's great. Now tell me, how were you diagnosed and when were you diagnosed?
Like you were mentioning, in the 2007, I was going to plan to retire. And so I was just contacting insurance and different things like that. The insurance company actually did a lot of blood work because they were interested. I was interested in upping my life insurance.
Got it.
So through that, they determined that there were some issues I had with my liver enzymes. And so I just checked, didn't think much of it, just went to my regular doctor. And just for a few years, we just sort of did blood work, checked it, tried, not drinking any alcohol, not taking any Tylenol, things like, in medications like that. And so just each time it was not going down. And finally, we decided I should go to a specialist. And yes, at that point, they did do a biopsy and diagnosed it as PBC, stage 3.
I'm sorry, I lost you. Stage 3, you said?
Stage 3.
Wow. Wow. And that was finally in what year that you were finally diagnosed?
That was 2011.
Wow. That's great.
The biopsy.
So I just want to let everybody know the reason you mentioned Tylenol as something that people with liver problems should absolutely not have, even though we think of Tylenol as the safest, most benign drug possible, it is metabolized by the liver. And Tylenol, even though it is a very commonly used over-the-counter drug, has a very narrow, what we call therapeutic index. So the difference between the therapeutic effective dose and a toxic dose is not that big. So this is just a public service announcement to anybody who has any liver problems at all, including people who've been just out for a night of binge drinking. You should not treat your headache or your post-hangover headache with Tylenol. You should probably use, another pain reliever and obviously not get drunk in the first place. But of course, as we said in the intro, that was not related to your condition at all. And Emily, how did you react when your mom told you about this?
Oh, well, I think my mom is very protective of us. And I think she was trying not to, like, you could tell she was a little, she wasn't sure what it was, sort of trying to figure it out. And then I don't think she fully told us like how serious it could be or what the potential risks are. So it was scary, but we just tried to kind of find out more information with her and figure it out.
And so tell me how you got involved in the LiveHer campaign.
Okay, well, I shoot commercial photography, and so I'm often working with different brands, and through my agency, we sometimes get little requests for awareness campaigns for different diseases. It's rare, but it happens sometimes. And I opened my email one day, and there was an email like asking if anyone personally knew anyone who had PBC or anything. And I was like, what? I was like, that's so crazy because it's such a rare thing. And I was like, my mom has that. And so I emailed them back, and then I got to kind of help shape the project and include my mother in it. And so it was really exciting because most of the time I'm shooting for brands, which I love to do that. But it's kind of rare for me to be able to shoot for something that's so personal to me, like include my family members in it and spend, I got to spend a lot of extra time with my mom shooting the project and also learning a lot more about it than I did know. So
what's the number one thing you want people who are listening to know about PBC or about the LiveHer campaign, aside from where they can see your fabulous pictures?
Well, what I've learned is that it can be hard to diagnose. And so the most important thing is to just really bring awareness to this and to get regular liver screenings, because that's just the number one way. You need to find out as soon as possible.
And have you been tested?
I haven't been tested yet. I just moved cities and moved into a new house. And so I'm kind of finding a new doctor here, but that's on my list of things to do within the next month. So
okay, we want you to put that higher on your to-do list.
I know.
And I say that I'm not just saying that to you. I say that to all women because most women, regardless of their life circumstances, are not putting. And that includes me, by the way. I am awesome at telling other people what to do.
Yeah,
I'm so great at actually doing it myself. But yeah, I was just on a long flight and. The flight attendants give you that speech about putting on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. We all kind of have to give ourselves that speech every now and then. But so you just moved to Nashville.
I did.
I'm going to ask everybody to send me recommendations for you for a great primary care internist. We do use the email askdrdonica@gmail.com for all questions related to the podcast, which of course is a little more private than people sending me questions on Twitter and Facebook, which they also do. But we're going to get you a really good doctor. And of course, Nashville has so many wonderful hospitals and is really a healthcare mecca, not just of the South, but of the United States. So Debbie, tell us, how is your health now?
I feel very healthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like PBC really keeps me down. I do did have itching at first, but it seems like medication's taking care of that.
Describe the itching, because I think people listening might be thinking, okay, everybody has a little, itch now and then, and tell us what the itching is from.
The itching is, I believe, from the bile that's in the liver.
Yeah.
And so what I was experiencing was just intense itching all night, like for me, it was behind my knee areas or up and down the backs of my legs. And I've learned from the other girls, it can be different areas. But for me, I couldn't stop itching. It was, I would just get up in the middle of the night and try to, put hot water, coat it with lotion, just anything I could do. And I was thinking there was if I was out in the garden, it almost felt like I had mites or something from the garden. And it was just a terrible feeling that way. And it's like cleaning sheets is what is this? It was so
Intense.
disruptive, yes, and intense. And so that probably that symptom right there is the one that got me looking a little further on the internet and saying I've got to come to a solution. What is this? So,
And the medication you're on now is handling that.
yes, for me it is, but unfortunately it does not get rid of the itching for everyone.
And how is your energy level?
My what level?
Your energy level?
Oh, I feel like I have great energy. I do a lot of gardening. And,
Are you still running marathons?
No, I put that to the side. So I really want to focus on my gardening right now.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to come to my house if you run out of, things to do at your place.
Yeah.
When was the last time you ran a marathon?
I believe the last one was 2013 and the first one in 2009.
That's great.
I trained for one, but we didn't get all the way through that last one. So I just say 2 so far.
So I once drove 26 miles.
Me too.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And did you finally retire?
No, I did. I'm still employed.
Great.
So but I did change over to a night shift so I can garden all morning. So I do feel like I'm retired. So yeah, we're making plans for this year, 2018.
That is great. That is great. And Emily, did you get the gardening gene?
I didn't. I do actually have like over 100 houseplants inside my house, but I mean, it's just, you just water them. There's no tilling the earth or doing anything like, creating things from seeds. So no, I didn't. But you're going to have to, my mom needs to come to my house too to do the outdoors.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure she'd be happy to
Yeah.
come visit. And what about your other siblings? Have they been tested? I understand you have one sister.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I don't think, maybe Sarah has she? Do you know, Mom?
No, I don't believe she's been tested for that.
And Debbie, has anybody else in your family been tested or diagnosed with this or any other autoimmune diseases?
I have 2 other sisters that they've not been tested yet. They're going to, though. Everybody needs to. And let's see, autoimmune does run in my family, just different ones.
Okay, which ones?
Like we've got my aunts have the rheumatoid arthritis on both parents' sides. And let's see, some of the other ones are celiac. Yes, my daughter, Sarah, does.
Yeah, celiac is, a severe form of gluten sensitivity. We've talked about that on this program before. And there's a whole range of autoimmune diseases. People don't really always think of them as a category, but of course the most common autoimmune disease is type 1 diabetes. Yeah, it's extremely, extremely common. But there's a whole range, including Sjogren's syndrome and, numerous other autoimmune diseases. Rheumatoid arthritis, very commonly known. And these are things that people kind of need to be aware of and on top of. So in addition to gardening, is there anything in particular that you're doing for your overall health at this point?
I like to be careful with the things I eat and, eliminate as much as possible one time I did a liver cleanse, through a little program, and it was like eliminating caffeine, sugar, fried foods, processed foods, and something else.
Something we should all do. I don't know that that's a liver cleanse per se, but all of these things are great for your overall and general health. And Emily, was this a wake-up call for you in any way in terms of your own personal health?
Definitely. I would like to say that my mom has always eaten healthier than anyone I ever have known. She'll be making kefir in her trunk.
Wow.
But yeah, I think one of the biggest things about this project was I didn't realize that this could be a genetic thing. So that I was like, like I just didn't think that was like a possibility at all. So it's definitely made me think more. Actually, started going to a nutritionist at the end of last year, and I had done like a liver cleanse too to make sure. Like I was just checking like parts, and I don't know. It definitely gives me a little anxiety, but it's better to know than to not know. But
you have to get the test.
You have to get the test, yes. But now that I'm kind of settled into my house, it's been really nice to have like a kitchen again, because I travel so much that it's really hard to eat healthy when you're just on the road.
Absolutely. Very difficult.
So it's been really nice to be home and be able to like eat vegetables for multiple meals a day. Like, so.
That's great. And where can people see these fabulous photographs that you took of the patients in the LiveHer campaign?
Oh, you can, if you go to facebook.com/LiveHer, that's LiveHer, you're going to see all the photos. There's video too. And I posted some on my Instagram account. And your
Instagram account is?
Oh, my Instagram is Emily Blincoe. It's EMILYBLINCOE.
And I am one of your hundreds of thousands of followers.
Well, thank you. Thanks for following along.
That's great. And what do you think is the number one message, Debbie, you would want our listeners to know about this condition?
I would like for everyone to know that since the symptoms can be silent, that they do need to make liver health check, as a routine part of their health routine.
That is great. I don't think you could say it better. And then I'll just leave you with one of the questions I always ask our guests that I really enjoy is, I'll let you go first, Emily, since you're younger on this. But what's the number one piece of health advice that you would give to your 21-year-old self, if you could?
Oh, man, I have quite a few things.
All right, you can say them all, but give me the number one first.
Oh, health advice. I think it's just all the normal things. Like I would, I probably eat tons of fast food or just like anyone else, but I think that eating healthy and taking care of your body and your mental health is one of the most important things that you can do.
And Debbie, what would be your number one piece of health advice to your 21-year-old self?
I would like to tell myself to focus more on a good diet, exercise, all the things you always heard your mother say, and actually learn about that and see the wonderful life you could have with that.
That is great advice. And certainly I would say the same things. I especially like the thing about do everything your mother said. So I hope my children are listening to this episode. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for telling us about the LiveHer PBC campaign. Thank you for being such great spokespeople for this. I know you've helped lots of women by your experience. And Emily, certainly your photographs have proven again and again that one picture is worth 1,000 podcasts. But thank you so much for joining us today in the ladies' room. I really appreciate it. And it has been a pleasure meeting you both.
Oh, thank you so much. I really hope that everyone would go check out all the photos of Belle and Brandy and my mom, because we traveled all over the country and even out of the country to do this project. And we have everything up on Facebook.
Where did you travel out of the country?
Well, we went to the Dominican Republic to meet
Belle
on the project. You can see lots of photos of her coffee farm and all the fruits and everything on there. And then we went to Missouri and then down to Texas. I was there for 4 days with my mom. So
Great. Well, this sounds like a wonderful, wonderful program. I hope lots of people check out the photographs, the videos, the information. And again, people who have questions can send them to me at askdrdonica@gmail.com or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, and I will forward them all to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks again for coming, ladies. Take care. Stay well. Bye-bye. That's all we have time for today. But let's keep the conversation going on Twitter or Facebook at Dr. Donica. And please join us next week for another episode of In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica, Real conversations with real women about really intimate topics.